G'day, welcome to episode 2 of Lockoffs, season 2, with me, Jono Hersey. Now, it's golden hour here in Kuitpo in South Australia, so it's the perfect time to crack a bottle and have a glass of wine. Now, this episode we're going to be looking at a 2018 Domaine Alain Chavy Bourgogne Blanc. Now, Alain Chavy, we've featured on a few of these videos before. He's a fantastic producer from Puligny-Montrachet. His father was Gerard Chavy, and his brother and him took over it in 1988, I believe, or thereabouts, and split in 2003. They just wanted to do things a little bit differently. They split the vineyards as evenly as they could. Alain has got the deepest cellar in Puligny-Montrachet, about 18 foot deep. Now, in Puligny-Montrachet, there's a water table, which means that they can't have underground cellars. So they've inserted a concrete, they formed a concrete box, if you will. And the first time they tried to do it, it actually ended up floating when the water table rose. So a bit of a funny story there. Alain's wines are beautiful and pure, driven, well structured. High acid is often one of the first to pick in the village, and for a lot of people that's a very important feature in a white Burgundy, as it gives this tremendous freshness. There are producers who can get away with picking later and retaining freshness, but some people just love the drive that early picking brings. Now, what makes this Bourgogne Blanc special is that it comes almost entirely from within Puligny-Montrachet. There's one little parcel in Meursault, but quite often producers, even if they're based in Meursault or Chassagne-Montrachet or Puligny-Montrachet, will source fruit from elsewhere, say the Mâconnais or north just outside of Chablis, etc. But when a wine purely consists of beautiful Puligny fruit or Meursault fruit, you really can tell the difference. There really is a step above. So, on the nose, there's this beautiful struck match flint character, shotgun shell, gunpowder, and they're on all of his wines. But his Bourgogne Blanc and Puligny-Montrachet probably show the most. And as you go up the hierarchy of vineyards, so Clairvoyant, Champagne, Pucelle, Flotière, it actually dials back and more of the terroir shows. And it's actually really beautiful. When you're having such a good value white Burgundy like this, it's actually nice to sort of see that flintiness and it's that gunpowder. And so what a lot of people really love in a white Burgundy. And to be able to taste that at this price is really quite special. Definitely very savoury, but there's a salty, saline, energetic edge to the wine. A little bit of grapefruit pith. Orchard fruits and the like are there, but they're not necessarily defined, or as defined as you would say find in his Puligny-Montrachet or Premier Cru's. The palate is classic Puligny. So Puligny has this sort of cloud-like delicacy, but it's also got a beautiful sort of backbone, steely backbone. It's got beautiful nervosity. The difference between, say, this and his Puligny-Montrachet, the Puligny-Montrachet will have more length, drive and definition, particularly with those fruits, and just be a classier wine. But in terms of style and flavour profiles and characteristics, this is pretty much a replica, but just on a baby scale. So while I wouldn't put this away for more than 10 years, and his Puligny-Montrachet I easily would for 20, this is beautiful drinking. In regards to vintages, people try to simplify vintages too much, and while I've been guilty of it as well, and sometimes it is easy to, say hot, warm, cold, blousy, broad, tight, and use very sort of simple descriptors. 2018 was very warm, but it was also very high yielding. These high yields, slow ripening. So if we look back to 1999, it was an incredibly warm vintage, but a very high yielding. And it just balances everything out. Usually, if you have a high yielding vintage and it's very cool, grapes will struggle to ripen, and there'll be lackluster flavour, won't be necessarily ripe particularly in reds, they'll be quite stringent. With whites, they might get away with it, but they'll be quite dilute, and they just will never reach that ripeness. As this wine opens up, we're really starting to see more florals, which is the other sort of key characteristic of Puligny Montrachet, alongside a steely backbone and cloud-like delicacy. The gunflint starts to dissipate. Now, thanks for tasting through the 2018 Domaine Alain Chavy Bourgogne Blanc. I will see you in the office tomorrow for a little blind tasting with Mark and Zoe. Cheers, and see you then. Hello all. Now, welcome back to the warehouse. We've just come back down from the vineyard where we tasted the 2018 Domaine Alain Chavy Bourgogne Blanc. Now, as per last week, Zoe has purchased a wine up to the value of $50 from a local bottle shop. So, Zoe, a little bit more. Let's be generous. Righto. So, first impression's always a little bit harsh.
It's hard to overstate how difficult it is being given a wine with absolutely no background and tell what it is.
There's a nice amount of fruit, red cherry, a little bit of raspberry, slightly high tone, fruity but not really descript. A little bit of spice. Mark, what do you think of the nose?
Yeah, I get a lot of the same. Red cherry, spice, raspberry, a little bit of sort of woody herb, rosemary. It points me towards the Mediterranean. A little bit.
The palate's actually really quite nice. Again, sort of relatively sort of round and juicy, but there is a nice sort of dustiness.
Lightish tannins though.
Yep.
Not a lot of grip there. Some medium-high acid.
Italian varietal, maybe a Sangiovese. You going to put your finger on anything? Jesus, is that?
Yeah. I'm thinking in that sort of realm. Italian Mediterranean variety, possibly grown locally though.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be temp, maybe a local temp.
For me, with Tempranillo, there's a sort of a sour cherry.
Yeah.
And this has got a really sort of juicy.
You don't see that in there?
Maybe a little bit. I'm going to go Sangiovese, local, around $35. Actually, McLaren Vale Sangiovese, $35.
I'm going McLaren Vale or Adelaide Hills, maybe in that sort of between districts, Tempranillo. I'm going to say $35 as well. 2020.
So, yeah.
There's always just fetching the bottle, and we've been pondering this wine. I'm sticking with my guns of Tempranillo, but Jono's got other ideas.
I'd like to say Adelaide Hills Shiraz. Zoe?
Put us out of our misery. Oh, it's none of the sort.
What is it? Cab Franc.
Cab Franc. I did say I had Cabernet in there.
All right. Zoe 1, us 0. So the scores are even. We'll see everyone next week.
Sorely defeated.
Thank you very much for tuning in. All the best.
Thanks.
Now, as we ran off, we realised that we didn't talk about the wine. So it's a Franklin estate from Franklin River in Western Australia. It's called Franc, dare say Cabernet Franc. And what did you think of the wine, Mark?
Actually, it's really nice. Yeah, really nice acid. And as I was saying off camera, genuinely, I did see Cabernet in there, and so it's really varietal and actually sort of super juicy fruits and really pleasant barbecue wine, I think.
And for me, Cab Franc can be overtly sort of green and tomato bush, or it can be overripe and sort of look like tomato sauce, that sort of congregates around the top of the tomato sauce bottle. When they're on, but for me, it's too few and far between. But no, seriously good, and I think Zoe said it was $35, and that's a ripping one for $35. So.
Great, yeah, fantastic. I think we'll finish this.
Bravo.
Cheers.
Cheers.